Today we are going to look at the diet, food culture, and health profile of Israel. So we're going to begin speaking about their dietary eating habits. Israel has one of the healthiest diets in the world, and its diet is encouraged among most Western countries. It's well known that when reading medical articles, journals, even health websites, even visiting your physician, they will commonly recommend or mention the Mediterranean diet. This includes the diet consumed in Israel. So the diet here is mostly made up of fresh vegetables. The prominent or predominant ones are tomato and cucumber. They'll usually eat these in salads or just raw. So the diet also includes the species listed in the Torah, also known as the Shivat Hamnim. These include wheat, barley, olives, grapes, dates, figs, and pomegranates. There's also a lot of other fresh vegetables. Their primary fat or oil they consume is olive oil. They generally don't cook with corn oil or any other type of oil. There is also a high consumption of grains and legumes, wheat and barley, eggs, dairy, and meat. Their cultural eating habits. So first, we are going to talk about their traditional eating habits, which is the diet I mentioned previously, which is a very traditional diet based on fresh fruits and vegetables, olive oils, wheat, grains, legumes, and dairy. So most of these foods are adaptable to the country's climate, and while Israel has held on to some of its traditional eating habits, which include accompanying bread and wine with every meal and using olive oil instead of corn oil for cooking, it has also adopted or adapted other eating habits, which include eating processed foods. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. So the prevalent health issues or illnesses that are commonly seen or are currently seen in Israel include heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and why are these prominent if the traditional diet is so beneficial? Well, this is because there has been a shift in the traditional diet because of industrialization and different trade regulations that have changed over the years. So there is now an increase in readily available processed foods. This increase has led to an increase in heart disease and cancer and diabetes and obesity and other health issues which are commonly seen. In general terms, the traditional diet, which was mentioned in the beginning, helps prevent all of these diseases, including obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. But because there has been a shift in diets, these are now very prevalent. So, some of the chronic health illnesses in Israel are cancer and heart disease. These account for about 2/3 of the reported deaths countrywide. The changed lifestyle and eating habits have resulted in these health issues. According to the country's Bureau of Statistics, 55% of men and 41% of women in Israel are overweight. There are also other health concerns regarding Medicare for the aging population, and there's an issue with solid waste problems because of the increased population and an increased expansion or industry expansion. The connection between diet, nutrition, and health issues. A lot of the health-related or food-related issues are linked to the contemporary diet habits, not the traditional ones. So, as we said, the traditional diet is known to increase protection against major diseases, and such as cardiovascular disease, as opposed to being a health risk factor. These diets, the traditional diet, contain food rich in antioxidants, which are necessary in preventing health problems. The nutritional transition in Israel over the last 50 years is what has been linked to the various health issues which were previously mentioned. The country has abandoned their customs linked to food and instead are turning to readily available foods that are rich in sugar, saturated fats, and salt, which constitute risk for diseases like obesity, which lead to diabetes, to clogged arteries, heart disease, and other issues. So, we're going to move on to the impacts of globalization on diet and nutrition. So, There has been a movement from rural areas to town, which has resulted in a low supply of animal protein and free fat and reduced levels of physical activities, because from moving from rural areas to towns or other cities, agriculture is no longer promoted. Because of this, there is an increase in processed foods, which are high in calories and fats, and these eventually lead to the health issues which are predominant in the country. Their social globalization has caused convergence of nutritional patterns and introducing these new diets. Soft drinks and snacks have become common during social visits, increasing the prevalence of diabetes. Trade openness and other changes have allowed citizens to easily access markets, and in these markets there are many processed foods that were previously not available. The increased industrial activities in the country along the coast have resulted in environmental pollution. So this also with the poor solid waste management and the high chemical application in the agriculture that is available in the country have resulted in environmental hazards, such as affecting rain patterns, and this is changing the country's climate. And health-wise, because there are so many new chemicals introduced into the agriculture, there's a higher risk for cancer and other health-related issues. So what are possible solutions for Israel? So around 70% of Israel's industries are located along the coast, which, as we mentioned, has created a problem of waste management. There's also a mass use of chemicals for agricultural production, which is polluting the groundwater. So there is a need for proper industrial waste management, which is going to reduce the environmental risks that are attributed to various health problems. The Israeli government could also shift developments to rural areas and encourage farming of traditional foods and rearing of animals to increase the availability of natural foods, and hence go back to traditional eating habits. The last solution another solution that we are promoting here is food advertising. We all know that advertising can cause a great impact to the people. So if the government spends or increases the amount of food advertising to promote healthy dietary and nutritional practices, which will include the traditional diet versus the contemporary diet, then we can see a shift in the country's current health and illness situation.